There are places that feel perfectly balanced between land and sky, built into cliffs, carved from rock, or facing endless horizons. They seem to exist in quiet harmony with nature. In this journey, we explore 15 inhabited destinations whose beauty defies logic. Not through drama, but through calm and balance. This is an invitation to move slowly, observe carefully, and experience these places with respect. Tell us where you're watching from and which destination you'd dare to visit first. Simena, Alut, Alercres. Simena rests quietly along Turkey's Mediterranean coastline, forming a small settlement where land, sea, and memory coexist without tension. Stone houses descend gently along the hillside, oriented toward clear waters that reflect light throughout the day. The village appears compact and composed, shaped by the slope rather than imposed upon it. From the shoreline, remnants of earlier civilizations remain visible, adding depth and context while blending naturally into the surroundings. This layered setting creates an atmosphere of calm continuity, where the present and the past share the same visual space. Exploration in Simena unfolds slowly and deliberately. Paths rise toward higher ground, opening wide views over the bay and the surrounding mountains. Movement here encourages pauses, allowing observation to take precedence over direction. Each step reveals how settlement and environment have learned to coexist through restraint and adaptation. Silence becomes part of the experience, reinforcing attentiveness. Manarola. Manarola unfolds along the Ligurian coastline as a layered composition of color, stone, and terrain. Houses cascade down the hillside in carefully stacked levels, following the natural slope until they meet the Mediterranean Sea. Terraced vineyards, narrow paths, and stone retaining walls reveal centuries of adaptation, where human presence aligns closely with the landscape. From higher points, the view expands toward the horizon, where sea and sky blend into shifting tones that change with the light. Walking through Manarola encourages a relaxed and attentive pace. Streets naturally guide movement toward viewpoints overlooking the water, while the sound of the sea remains a constant companion. Daily life integrates seamlessly into the setting, maintaining balance rather than drawing attention. As daylight fades, softer tones settle over the village, reinforcing a sense of calm. Exploring Manarola means aligning with its rhythm, where observation becomes more important than destination, and the experience is shaped by continuity between land, sea, and everyday life. Meteora. Meteora rises from the plains of central Greece as a dramatic landscape defined by vertical stone columns that command attention through scale and stillness. These towering formations, shaped over time, create a natural framework where monasteries appear carefully positioned rather than placed. From a distance, the structures seem suspended above the valleys, integrated into the rock with restraint. Surrounding hills and greenery soften the scene, reinforcing a sense of separation from everyday environments and establishing a setting designed for contemplation. The experience of Meteora unfolds through gradual movement and changing perspective. Well-established paths guide visitors safely upward, revealing expansive views across valleys and layered rock faces. As elevation increases, clouds often drift between formations, altering depth and visibility. This constant variation encourages awareness and calm observation. Exploring Meteora extends beyond physical travel. It becomes a reflective process shaped by silence, height, and space. The landscape invites respect and attentiveness, showing how exploration can foster a deeper connection with place through stillness as much as motion. Ronda. Ronda is defined first and foremost by the dramatic gorge that cuts through its center, shaping both the city's form and its atmosphere. Rising above this natural divide, the urban fabric appears carefully arranged rather than imposed, responding directly to the terrain. The bridge spanning the gorge becomes a visual anchor, drawing the eye downward toward the river and outward toward the wide Andalusian landscape beyond. From elevated viewpoints, rolling hills, cultivated fields, and distant mountains unfold in measured layers, creating a sense of openness that contrasts with the city's compact form. This relationship between height and depth establishes a calm, yet powerful first impression. Moving through Ronda reveals a city built on balance. Broad viewpoints give way to narrow streets, and open plazas transition into quieter residential corners. Light plays a central role, shifting across stone surfaces and altering the mood throughout the day. Rather than overwhelming the visitor, Ronda encourages slow movement and attentive observation. Exploring it means understanding how geography defines rhythm, guiding each step and shaping perception. Positano. Positano reveals itself gradually, rising from the Amalfi Coast as a vertical composition shaped by terrain rather than imposed upon it. The town unfolds along the mountainside in a carefully layered sequence of terraces, where homes, paths, and gardens align naturally with the slope. From higher vantage points, the Mediterranean stretches outward in deep blues, while warm-toned facades respond subtly to shifting daylight. Color, light, and elevation work together to create a living landscape that changes continuously, encouraging pauses and prolonged observation rather than quick impressions. Moving through Positano is defined by rhythm rather than distance. Staircases replace streets, linking neighborhoods through balconies, shaded passages, and intimate squares. Each descent or climb introduces a new perspective, often revealing the sea framed by arches or rooftops. As evening approaches, light softens the contrasts, and the town settles into a quieter, reflective atmosphere. Exploring Positano means engaging with space attentively, accepting slower movement, and discovering how daily life, architecture, and geography remain in constant balance within a demanding yet harmonious setting. Setenil de las Bodegas. Setenil de las Bodegas stands out through its direct and unusual relationship with the surrounding rock. Rather than building above the terrain, much of the town develops beneath massive stone overhangs that serve as natural shelter. Streets, homes, and small businesses nestle under these formations, creating a shaded and temperate environment. Whitewashed walls contrast with the dark stone above, producing a visual harmony that feels both practical and distinctive from the first encounter. Walking through Setenil encourages attentiveness and unhurried movement. Narrow streets guide visitors beneath the rock, where light filters in gradually and spaces feel enclosed yet welcoming. Each section reveals thoughtful adaptations shaped by coexistence with the environment rather than alteration of it. The experience highlights an alternative approach to exploration, one based on understanding limits and possibilities. Setenil demonstrates that inhabiting space intelligently can produce beauty, turning adaptation into identity and transforming the simple act of walking into a continuous discovery of balance between human presence and natural form. Albarracin. Albarracin appears as a compact presence perched above a canyon, surrounded by a restrained and almost silent landscape. From a distance, its reddish-toned buildings merge naturally with the rocky terrain, forming a continuous silhouette that follows the slope rather than resisting it. Defensive walls and irregular street patterns reveal a settlement shaped by adaptation and long continuity. Nothing feels excessive or decorative. Each element seems positioned with respect for the land's contours. This first view prepares the visitor for an experience grounded in subtlety rather than scale. Exploration inside Albarracin unfolds gradually. Narrow streets lead to small openings and viewpoints where the canyon and surrounding rock formations come into view. The pace naturally slows, encouraging awareness of texture, color, and light. The town does not rely on grand spaces to leave an impression. Instead, it creates atmosphere through restraint and coherence. Jufen. Jufen develops across the steep hills of northern Taiwan as a layered network of streets, terraces, and overlooks descending toward the Pacific Ocean. The town uses elevation as its organizing principle, creating a sequence of passages that continuously reshape perspective. Traditional buildings align closely with the terrain, while the surrounding landscape remains ever present. When mist drifts through the rooftops, boundaries soften and depth becomes less defined, intensifying the sense of immersion within the mountains. Walking through Jufen is marked by constant variation. Narrow lanes curve and climb, revealing small gathering places, shop fronts, and viewpoints at irregular intervals. The journey feels dynamic yet coherent, sustained by the town's internal rhythm. As evening approaches, warm lights illuminate the streets, contrasting gently with the cooler tones of the hills. Jufen shows that exploration does not always follow a straight path. Instead, it unfolds through ascent and descent, where curiosity is renewed with every turn and movement becomes part of the discovery. Castellfollit de la Roca. Castellfollit de la Roca occupies an extraordinary geological position, resting atop a narrow basalt ridge formed by ancient volcanic activity. Rising more than 165 feet above the surrounding rivers and plains, the village extends lengthwise along the cliff's edge with remarkable precision. Houses align closely with the precipice, forming a continuous silhouette that appears both deliberate and restrained. From below, the sheer rock face dominates the view, making clear that the settlement did not reshape the terrain, but adapted carefully to it. This first impression emphasizes coexistence rather than control. Walking through Castellfollit reinforces this sense of balance. Streets guide movement toward viewpoints where rivers, greenery, and open space unfold beneath the cliff. Each section feels measured, encouraging pauses and quiet observation. The village does not rely on scale or variety to leave an impression. Instead, its strength lies in clarity and integration. Exploring Castellfollit reveals how listening to the landscape can shape architecture into a harmonious extension of geology, resulting in an experience that feels both grounded and memorable. Civita di Bagnoregio. Civita di Bagnoregio stands atop a high plateau in central Italy, surrounded by rolling hills and wide, open horizons. Access via a pedestrian bridge creates a deliberate transition, gradually separating everyday surroundings from the village's compact interior. Once inside, the built environment reveals a strong sense of proportion and unity. Narrow streets, small squares, and consistent materials work together to create a coherent spatial identity where nothing feels excessive or out of place. Exploring Civita encourages attentiveness and calm movement. Silence, gentle air currents, and uninterrupted views of the valley accompany every step. The experience unfolds slowly, shaped by pauses rather than progression alone. Light shifts across the landscape throughout the day, altering perspective without breaking continuity. Civita di Bagnoregio illustrates how mindful exploration deepens appreciation for fragile environments. Bainac et Kazanac. Bainac et Kazanac occupies a commanding position above the Dordogne River, where a steep cliff defines the village's structure and orientation. At the summit, the castle anchors the settlement, while stone houses descend gradually along the natural slope toward the valley below. The uniform tones of the buildings reinforce a sense of visual cohesion, allowing the village to blend seamlessly with the surrounding hills and forested landscape. From a distance, the composition appears balanced and deliberate, shaped by elevation rather than ornament. Exploration unfolds along sloping streets that guide movement downward while offering repeated views across the river valley. Each vantage point invites a pause, revealing how the river traces gentle curves through fields and wooded areas. The pace remains unhurried, encouraging observation rather than progression. Bainac et Kazanac does not overwhelm with variety, but instead rewards consistency and clarity. Bonifacio. Bonifacio stands dramatically at the southern edge of Corsica, positioned atop pale stone cliffs that drop sharply into the Mediterranean Sea. From afar, the town appears suspended above the water. Its buildings align precisely with the natural edge of the land. The interaction between rock, sea, and open sky defines the visual character of the place, establishing a landscape where nature clearly dictates form and scale. Exploring Bonifacio centers on movement along elevated paths and through the historic citadel. Each viewpoint offers a renewed understanding of the coastline and the sculpted rock below. The route is clear and composed, encouraging unhurried exploration and continuous observation. As daylight softens, the stone surfaces take on warmer tones, reinforcing the town's calm presence above the sea. Bonifacio invites mindful exploration, where looking outward becomes as important as moving forward, and harmony between architecture and landscape shapes every step of the experience. Rocamadour. Rocamadour reveals itself as a vertical settlement rising directly from the limestone cliff above a wide and tranquil valley. Houses, chapels, and terraces appear stacked in careful succession, each level following the slope with precision. From a distance, the village reads as a unified composition, where light-colored stone blends naturally with surrounding vegetation. The entire silhouette feels composed and intentional, as if every structure has found its exact position through a long dialogue with the terrain. Exploration unfolds through gradual ascent. Cobblestone paths and stairways connect the village's different levels, shaping movement into a continuous progression rather than a single route. At each turn, the valley opens outward, offering expansive views that invite stillness and reflection. The pace remains unhurried, allowing architecture and landscape to be experienced together. Rocamadour demonstrates that exploration does not need speed to be meaningful. Here, movement becomes awareness, and respect for the environment transforms the journey into a layered and deeply engaging experience. Civita di Bagnoregio. Civita di Bagnoregio stands atop a high plateau in central Italy, surrounded by rolling hills and wide, open horizons. Access via a pedestrian bridge creates a deliberate transition, gradually separating everyday surroundings from the village's compact interior. Once inside, the built environment reveals a strong sense of proportion and unity. Narrow streets, small squares, and consistent materials work together to create a coherent spatial identity where nothing feels excessive or out of place. Exploring Civita encourages attentiveness and calm movement. Silence, gentle air currents, and uninterrupted views of the valley accompany every step. The experience unfolds slowly, shaped by pauses rather than progression alone. Light shifts across the landscape throughout the day, altering perspective without breaking continuity. Civita di Bagnoregio illustrates how mindful exploration deepens appreciation for fragile environments. Xizang Qianhu Miao. Xizang Qianhu Miao extends across lush hills in southwest China as a vast ensemble of wooden houses arranged in layered terraces. The settlement follows the mountain's contours precisely, producing a step configuration that echoes the natural slope. From afar, the village resembles a broad amphitheater shaped by elevation and rhythm, where each level relates directly to the surrounding terrain. The density of the structures does not dominate the landscape, but instead reinforces its form through repetition and scale. Exploring Xizang involves navigating raised walkways and interconnected paths that link the village's multiple levels. As you move upward, the views expand to reveal rolling valleys and distant hills, creating a gradual sense of openness. In the evening, subtle lighting accentuates the structure of the settlement, adding warmth without altering its character. The experience emphasizes continuity, both spatial and cultural, where daily life remains closely tied to the environment. Xizang Qianhu Miao illustrates how exploration can deepen understanding a place, revealing not only scenery, but enduring relationships between community, landscape, and tradition.